Mauritius Island.
So we back with a podcast from Festus Davies. So what's your country?
Mauritius Island.
Okay. Give us some background or geography of your country.
Some background on my country. It's an island right behind Madagascar, so it's a lot of in the ocean, the Indian Ocean. So it's a lot of Indian and African people on the island. Before there were any colonizers, it was like an island of people. They usually like used the barter system, traded, built their own tools, farmed. They were nomadic, so they stayed in one place. They grew crops. They used tools, all that type of stuff to like live before any colonizer that came. When colonizers had came, the first people discovered were the Arabs and the Malays around the 1500th century. But then years later, a Portuguese navigator, Diego Diaz, became the first European navigator to see the island. But he didn't stay because it weren't no riches that he really wanted or that the Portuguese wanted to be on the island. So around 1508, the Dutch arrived and they named the island Mauritius after Prince Maurice, their prince. But
Established it, you said they were European and Dutch. So what language, like what is their dominant language?
their dominant language was Mauritian Creole because they were also colonized by the French after the Dutch. So they spoke mostly French with their own Mauritian. They added a little French to it, a little twist to it. But they also speak English and like English British because they were given to the British after the Treaty of Paris, like as like they were ceded to them.
Okay. So what were the social structures of the traditions within the country?
The soldiers were like Indians and Chinese, like they formed their own subgroups, and they were like the middle working class. And then like the Creoles, they were like the poor group. They didn't really have like no economic growth, so they were like the poorest. And then you could say like the women and men were like the dominant role in the house, and then the women were like the under, and they were just like they were really weren't able to like have education in the government. But now it's like it's prohibited for discrimination, so like women could like have like government jobs, government service, get education, be employed, stuff like that.
Okay, so what was the most like dominant religion? Like what religion was like frequent throughout the whole country?
The most dominant religion was Hinduism, like coming from like the Indian people. It was Hinduism, 52%, but there were also Christians too. But like the major religion that wasn't really frowned upon was Hinduism, and that was mostly throughout the country. And that's how like most of the national holidays and are celebrated. They celebrate the Hinduism holidays.
Okay, can you explain more the traditions, like what they do?
So like, cause they were Hindu, they celebrated like a lot of festival type holidays like Holi, Ramanavami, but also because a little bit of Chinese people were on the island. So they did celebrate Chinese New Year, and Dia Pazin Kavid is another Chinese holiday about like how like a person that came, he was like their savior, kind of like Jesus, but like he wasn't like the main person that they favored over, but he was like one of like a prophet, you could say. And like these traditions are like usually held in the city, like all family together, and like it was like a group. They like to be like in a group family, so that's how like the island is like really all together. Like everybody knows each other. It's just like people coming together like a festival, like different foods, different games, people just enjoying themselves.
So we know many folk tales throughout Africa. What one was the most attractive to you?
This photo called "Reap What You Sow." It's about a mom who like had 4 sons. So they lived really poor, but she like worked really hard to like provide education for them. Then she moved them to the city, and then like after they got older, they all married, and then like they left her alone. But the 4 sons, they started like a gang, a group, all four of them, they used to steal. That's how they used to live. They just used to steal, do stuff like that. And then one day they had ran into a crib, a house, and not knowing it was their mother's house because they haven't seen her for a long time. They stole. There was. So they ran in the crib, and then they were all stealing. They were stealing like the valuables. So the mom had a pot of like rice water, milk rice water on the stove, and the mom was asleep. So they took the milk rice water and they poured it on the mom's hand, but they didn't know it was her. And then she shouted, she woke up, and the neighbors came running in, and then they finally found all four of them. And after she noticed it with her sons, she said she didn't want to have no mercy on them, send them to jail because they forgot about her. So like, what this photo kind of saying about the people is like, always like, remember your mom, remember your family, don't change, and like stuff like that. And on the country, it's speaking about how like, how your parents, they go through all this for you, and how they were trying to have a good upbringing, and then how they just dismantled it, and then they turned out the wrong way.